Part of the problem here is he wants tit for tat. If there's a story about Trump, let's say Trump, let's say right after the elections, just as an example, let's say the former president gets indicted.
Mm-hmm.
Should I ignore that and
No, you should.
make sure I put a story where there's a Democrat who says something silly? No, of course not. And what happens so much with the former president is they are news stories because he is the former president, number one. And number two, it's not always positivity that's associated with the story, if that makes sense. He's being investigated for 8 different things that are crimes.
I have a deeper thought about this. It finally has occurred to me why GLers have trouble with me in my opposition to Trump. The difference between GLers who favor Trump and me is the following. You still apparently regard him as a serious political force or political candidate. I never have. I don't think he is I think he's a despicable soul whose brain was stunted at the age of 6 or 7. I'm not being facetious. I don't think he is a meaningful thinker in any positive sense of the way to look at that. I don't consider him a guy in the GL lexicon. He's just not a guy. He's a pus on the skin of America. He's a boil. And I don't regard him in any way, shape, or form as someone who has great ideas. And if he does, they occur to him whimsically and accidentally, or they come from people around him. I cannot take him seriously, never have. And I really, really am on George Will's side, calling for Harris, who will really eviscerated in this column. I'm on Will's side and calling for Harris and Biden to step aside, and the Democrats are going to have to find somebody, or the Republicans are going to have to find somebody to prevent Trump from winning again, because that would be a poison to this country. It would not work.
But when you're presented with the 2 options you were presented with back in 2020, what the hell are you supposed to do?
I didn't have an option.
That's what I'm saying. None of us really did. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, stop right there. Who on this show disagrees with what Joe just said? I don't. Matthew?
I don't.
And obviously John doesn't. Back to the letter, I think his criticism is more a criticism of the show in general.
I think so.
John is not doing hard news here. This isn't like back in the days when we were on the radio and John would step in and do the news and then step out. This is an opinion show. This is an entertainment show. And we don't represent the conservative side, just like we don't represent the liberal or Democrat side. We represent
the common
Joe,
sense side,
Matthew, Chris, John, and Kenny's side. Us, just dudes. And we're floating all over the map politically. So I don't think you can blame John on just one thing. I think, to me, John is doing a wonderful job, and I enjoy his... Oh, shut up, John. I enjoy his contributions, and I think Joe does too. Right, Joe?
I do.
Yeah.
Plus, John is part of the show, so it's entirely to be expected that some of his opinions are going to leak into newscasts. It's not like I'm assigning John the role of Walter Cronkite here.
Right.
This is just
right.
We're just us sitting in the boathouse above Spoon Lake.
I'll reveal a top secret thing that I probably shouldn't. I told Joe when he asked me to join you permanently on the podcast, I said, well, I'm sorry, but I disagree with a lot of the S you say. And Joe said, bring it on.
I don't care.
Well, that's the beauty of Garage Logic is, when you used to take calls, if someone disagreed, they went to the head of the class, and you said, okay, give me your point and see what we can
And I didn't argue with him, did I, Rook? No. I told him why they were wrong.
You told them why they were wrong before you hung up on them. No, and you never hung up. But that's the beauty. You don't have to agree with John Haidt 100% of the time. John Haidt doesn't have to agree. There's no litmus test here. And if you disagree, we can still go out and have lunch together.